Merhaba. My name is Mark Wynn, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a retired police lieutenant with the Nashville Metropolitan Police Department, and I'm here in Turkey this week to talk about violence against women and men's responsibility in preventing that violence. I have a personal story as well, not only as a professional story. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I lived in a home filled with domestic violence for 10 years as a child, which actually educated me on the crime of domestic violence, why it's committed, who commits the crime, and its impacts on the family. And I took that experience as a child, watching my stepfather never being held accountable. I took it into my professional life as a police officer with a goal of making sure that men like him were held accountable. Well, the thing that I witnessed as a child was when the police would come to our home, the police would threaten my mother with arrest. Now that was years ago, and we've stopped doing those things since then. But what happened in effect when the police did threaten her, she didn't call the police again. And we were trapped for 10 years without any intervention or without any assistance. So I've learned many things from him over the years. I've learned also about the culture of society around domestic violence. In the past, society would accept it. It's a private matter, it's no one's business. They married for better or for worse. If they didn't like it, they would just leave. But it's much more complex than that. So the solution is that when she leaves the violent relationship, if she does, it's not an event, it's a process. And that process means it takes a community, it takes a shelter, it takes a women's group, it takes a police department to collectively protect her when she decides to leave. That's what I've learned is the most effective way for women to get out of domestic violence. How the offender controls the victim with power and control, and how the victim often stays because they're too afraid to leave. That's something that I've seen in almost every society around the world. What's different in societies where they're doing something that is meaningful is that we understand the burden of the victim and we understand the choice of the offender, because domestic violence is something you choose to do. No one forces you to do it. So, and the victim has to tolerate it. They have to live in fear often if there's no services for that victim to get out. So that's the same around the world. Domestic violence in China and Russia and Georgia and United States and Turkey, it's all the same. The languages are different, some of the culture is different, but the crime itself is absolutely the same. Well, we always encourage witnesses to, first of all, be respectful and listen to the victim. Let's say the woman comes to her mother to report domestic violence. They need to be patient. They need to give them the right advice. They need to tell them, you know, there are services that can be provided. We need to provide services to victims. So we need to understand the moment she reports that she wants to get out, everything should be done to make sure that she's safe when she decides to leave. Justice is important, but just as important as justice is safety. We have to provide as a community that safety for the victim. If you are a victim of domestic violence, it is not your fault. If you're a victim of domestic violence, there is help. There are NGOs in Turkey who will help you get out from the violent relationship. If you're a victim in Turkey, there are police officers who will listen to your story and protect you. And above all, it is not your fault. No one deserves to be abused by anyone.